All right, let's do this. What's up, everybody? It's been a hot minute. It's been like 2 weeks since I've been able to do a live stream, and now I'm back. Last week I had a show with my band. It was on a Saturday, but we had band practice on a Friday. And around this time, last Friday, I was still practicing. So I wasn't able to do a live stream. So yeah, I'm back. Because I like doing this. It's fun. Even though we only have 8 people in the chat so far, I'm sure that will grow as time goes on. I don't promote these worth of crap, and I don't start them on time when I say I'm going to. So, there's all that to consider, which is great. It's good form, as a live streamer to be as inconsistent as possible. But anyway, what's up, emo bassist Alex Vargera, Alex Fraley, I should say, Chief McLeod, Professor Penne, I don't know. So yeah, I guess I'll just get into it. Oh, thank you, Paul N. Been checking out your music, loving it. Thanks for not sucking. You're welcome. It took me a long time to not suck, many years, and some will argue that I still, in fact, suck. What's up, Desi Ray? So yeah, we're gonna get into some more Linkin Park stuff, because on the live stream that I ended on with Emily Armstrong joining the band, her connections to Scientology, her affiliations with Danny Masterson, and how problematic that definitely is. Leaving on all those notes, at the end of my live stream, on the actual stream itself, somebody had sent me she had posted it like 16 minutes prior to me reading it. She had posted that infamous Instagram story where she distanced herself and apologized for being associated with Danny Masterson, yada, yada, yada. And on my stream, I was like, oh, well, good for her. What really more can you ask of somebody? They apologized and they, disavowed, they never named any names, but to me, I just viewed that as typical big time music world, Hollywood PR spin where, you're not trying to burn bridges and name any names. Now, this was a case where, I am not a Scientologist. I've never been a Scientologist, but I've been studying the tenets of Scientology for a while now, just because I find it fascinating and really insane how anyone could buy into that shit. And I've been following this channel called Growing Up in Scientology with Mr. Aaron Smith-Levin. Now, he's really kind of been at the forefront in a lot of this talk about Scientology, because his whole channel is based on his experiences in Scientology, and then he's talked about the various controversies. The Danny Masterson trial, Hyde from that 70s show, who got convicted of essaying a couple of women back in the 2000s. His channel really picked up some heat at that moment. A lot of people were like rushing to his channel for all the latest news. So yet again, Aaron is finding himself some current event gold with all the happenings of Linkin Park's new singer, Emily Armstrong. Like I said, I already did a live stream about her and the problematicness of her. And then, you had a lot of people who just straight up were like, we don't like her. How could you replace Chester? They should have just called the band a different name. I've heard all that shit. As far as like my personal opinion of Linkin Park, I've never been a huge fan. I always felt like their music was a bit on the manufactured, like record label side of things. I never really viewed them as that authentic. When your first record comes out of the gate and you sound so fucking polished that it was like almost as if it was just ready for prime time as soon as it came out of the gate, and it was meant to succeed. It wasn't like, say, like Korn's first album where it was rough as fuck, but they still had the heart, like Linkin Park's first album, Hybrid Theory, came out of the gate sounding like a very corporate to me. They didn't swear, so it was like they were catering to like a younger audience, and I was just kind of like, whatever. But I thought Chester had a good voice, and then when he passed away, there was like 7 years where the Linkin Park camp didn't really do anything. And I would say, like, as far as new rock bands go, there's not really a bigger, like, nostalgia act outside of Linkin Park. I mean, you could make the argument that, like, Korn and Limp Bizkit, but, like, I don't know. I would say that Linkin Park's still putting up probably way bigger numbers on Spotify than those bands are. So, you know, they replaced the singer. They replaced Chester with Emily Armstrong, a chick who has a vagina, and that bothered some people. You know, I mean, she has the grit when she needs to. She can kind of sound like Chester when she needs to. But I still kind of feel like their newest song, "The Emptiness Machine," was the best sounding song with her on it because it was written with her in mind. And I mean, not to mention, guys, like, if Linkin Park had replaced Chester with anybody, you're competing against 20 plus years of people's nostalgia. That's what I've been telling people whenever they want my opinion on, like, oh, what do you think about Linkin Park's new singer? I'm like, bro, I mean, I think she's fine, but I mean, you're asking the kind of the wrong person, because, like, I'm not in the market for a Linkin Park reunion, because I never cared about that band all that much when they were a band, you know, with Chester in it. So whatever. So all that aside, apparently there's been some disturbances in the Linkin Park world. First of all, it seems like just resoundingly everybody's just not cool with Emily Armstrong. Like, you got some defenders out there who are like, you know, leave her alone and she's doing good and I like her, and there might be a little bit of virtue signaling going on there with, like, you know, look at me supporting a woman in a rock band in a boys' world, you know, even though our band has a female vocalist. You know, some people just feel the need to, like, highlight that as if that's a novel thing at this point in time in any way, shape, or form. It's not. Spoiler alert. But you know, I think those people haven't really, like, kind of looked into all the various ways that this chick is not she was never, like, a great choice from a PR perspective, and I am to this day my mind is kind of blown as to why they didn't do just a little bit of research into this person to see that perhaps having someone in the band who supported a SA offender, trying to use the politically correct speech on YouTube as to not get my video smacked down right away. But, you know, hardcore Scientologist, still a Scientologist to this day. And what I didn't realize about her apology was it was had a lot of Scientological. It was kind of a clever way to kind of wiggle out of that situation and still keep her Scientology people happy. But there's been this clip that's been floating around TikTok that I want to play, and I don't know if this is a deep fake, but what you're about to see appears to be Mike Shinoda unplugging Emily's mic cable. Like I said, it's been floating around TikTok, and I don't know what the legitimacy is here. Hold on a second. Let me mute that. Okay, so like I said, they even label it with this very cynical "best choice Mike Shinoda has ever made" kind of thing. So just check this out. Okay, so clearly you hear her vocals. Mike is looking angrily to his left, walks over to some kind of a board and unplugs it. And we'll watch it again and tell me what you think. It certainly looks as though he unplugs her mic. I don't know. Very bizarre video. Really bizarre video there. So I don't know. Then there's it's come out recently that Emily Armstrong's been considering quitting Linkin Park. And because of all the pressure and all of the backlash that she's been facing. And Shinoda basically came in and commented, and he's like, you know, you guys really need to consider the things you say online and how it affects people. And it's just kind of the most like statement ever. It's like, really, what we say online carries weight and it might hurt people's feelings. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a real video. I mean, it looks real. It sounds as though she is singing clearly, and then he unplugs something, and it looks like she's still attempting to sing, but you're not hearing anything. I couldn't really find anything outside of that TikTok that even talked about this. It's just been something that's been making the rounds. So I don't know. I don't know how valid. I don't know how you would deep fake a video like that. It literally looks like a video somebody took with their cell phone. But anyway, maybe I don't know. I don't know what that video is about. I just figured it was worth sharing. So going back to that apology that Emily made at the end of my last stream when I talked about this. We're going to be utilizing Aaron Smith-Levin's channel here because he really kind of breaks things down in a way that I just simply couldn't. He knows way more. I mean, he grew up in Scientology. His channel's called Growing Up in Scientology. And so he kind of breaks down. We'll show you the apology and then his breakdown of it. So we're going to be watching this video right now.
Hey, Aaron, where are you? Where is Aaron right now? You done messed up, Aaron!
Aaron is back again. SPTV, late night edition. Every day is a great day not to be in a cult. Let me put all my notifications on.
So I'm going to like fast forward to kind of where he's showing the apology and then kind of talking about the breakdown.
When they wrote a letter to the judge asking the judge to be lenient on Danny Masterson because of what a great, great guy he was. Remember the blowback that they experienced even after they apologized?
He's talking about Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher's video that they made where they were saying how great Danny Masterson was and for the judge to be lenient. And he's talking about the blowback that they experienced when they made that video.
Sure would suck if the entire Linkin Park band got dragged into that sort of debacle over something that a singer we just added to the band 2 days ago is wrapped up in. I've got bad news, though. This apology makes Ashton and Mila's apology look amazing. This, instead of telling you how you should feel about it, I'll show it to you, and you can decide on your own how you feel about it. But just as an example of the brewing storm that has hit Linkin Park and Emily Armstrong, this is Rolling Stone. #1 trending article is Cedric Bixler Zavala slams Linkin Park's Emily Armstrong over alleged Danny Masterson support. And this article refers to this post from Cedric Bixler Zavala, the frontman, the singer for the Mars Volta and At the Drive-In. And I'll just read it for you because I know not everyone's already, I know everyone hasn't already seen the videos I've already done on this. So this is what Cedric Bixler Zavala posted. This was yesterday to his Instagram. I'm surprised none of you, this is a post that he put up on the page of the band Dead Sarah. Emily Armstrong is actually also the singer for the band Dead Sarah. Okay. I'm surprised none of you wrote a letter on Danny Masterson's behalf since your corny ass singer showed up to support him in the prelims. Remember, Emily? I just realized, everyone, I should not assume that all of you know Cedric Bixler Zavala's wife, Chrissy Carnell Bixler, was Jane Doe 3 in the Danny Masterson rape trials. And that is why Cedric is speaking about this publicly. He says, I'm surprised that none of you wrote a letter on Danny Masterson's behalf since your corny-ass singer showed up to support him in the prelims. Remember, Emily? Remember how your fellow Scientologist goon squad surrounded one of the Jane Does when she was trying to leave the elevators? The court sheriffs had to escort her away from your awful cult. Remember when we did the purification rundown, Emily? Were you directed to safe point me because of what my wife knew? Why can't you shut your mouth during a detox program where people are going through some rough shit, but your corny ass singing, but your corny ass is singing like an unsupervised child? Is it because you're a born-in Scientologist that gets a pass? How do you reconcile the homophobia found in the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard's book, Dianetics? Do your fans know about your friend, Danny Masterson, your rapist friend?
Well, he just said the word, so okay. I guess from here on out, I'll just refer to Danny Masterson as a rapist.
Well, Cedric set the music industry on fire with that. And his post has been going absolutely viral. And I knew, all day today, I was thinking, Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis. There is absolutely no way Linkin Park is going to survive this storm without addressing this better than Ashton and Mila did. And I actually had a high degree of confidence that they would see that, understand that, and execute appropriately. They have totally fumbled the ball on this. Okay, so let me just show you. This is the apology. Let me bring it up in a different way.
Sorry, I'm just kind of playing this guy's video right now. I normally don't do shit like this, like, I don't know, kind of rip-offy, but I don't know, man. I'm going to cover this, and then I'm going to talk more, and then, play some other things. But, yeah, there's going to be extensive use of Aaron Smith-Levin's clips in this live stream, so I hope Aaron is okay with me helping to disseminate this information. He's now about to break down the original apology that was shared as a story on Instagram, on Emily's Instagram, and those stories are only up for 24 hours before they go away forever. So not the biggest proclamation of sorrow there by putting something up that will be gone within a 24-hour period.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Oh, well, let's do that. Okay. She goes, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm new to so many of you, and I wanted to clear the air about something that happened a while back. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see the good in people, and I misjudged him. I've never spoken with him since. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. To say it as clearly as possible, I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of those crimes."
Yeah, and that was the story that was shared with me at the end of my first stream, like, oh, she just apologized. I was like, oh, shit. So I read it, what he just read, and I go, oh, well, that's, good on her. She acknowledged it and disavowed it and all that, like that's good, but then as I watched Aaron's video, I realized, oh, this is kind of a Scientology spin here on this apology.
I got to tell you, when I read the apology through quickly at first, I was like, damn, that's an apology. And then I read it a second time through and a third time through and a fourth time through, and I started to get angrier and angrier and angrier. It started to become more and more obvious to me how much of a non-apology this was, and how this was the bare minimum lip service that she could do to say something that would sound to some people like an apology, but to Scientologists, who are the ones she's worried of getting on the bad side of because she is a Scientologist and has to follow their rules, to a Scientologist, every single sentence of this apology essentially is a plausible deniability that she's even talking about Danny Masterson. So, and by the way, for those of you who have seen the last two videos I've done on this, I was able to verify today that Emily Armstrong's mother and father are not only veteran Sea Org members, but they actually work in the Office of Special Affairs. They actually work in the Department of Scientology.
Office of Special Affairs in Scientology is the organization that essentially is charged with making your life a living hell. Should you decide to speak out against Scientology in a very public way, kind of like what I'm doing. And they're the ones that harass and shut people up and all that. So her parents apparently work in the Office of Special Affairs, or OSA, as the Scientologists like to shorten everything.
That handles litigation and harassment of former members. The Office of Special Affairs is the dirty tricks department of Scientology.
Yeah, what he said.
Legal. they handle media, they handle PR, and through their lawyers and private investigators and hired goons, they are responsible for the harassment of former Scientologists that Danny Masterson's victims are currently suing him for. Okay. That is who Emily's parents are. Okay. So if we take a look at this apology, hi, I'm Emily. I'm new to you. I want to clear the air about something that happened a while back. Fine. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance. It does beg the question, who asked you? Now, I guess the most obvious answer would just be her good friend, Danny Masterson. Now, Ashton and Mila said that it was Danny's mother, Carol, who specifically asked them to write those letters to the court. But that was after the conviction. So after the conviction, Danny's already in jail at this point. Of course, Danny's not the one who personally asked Ashton and Mila to write those letters. It makes sense that it would be Danny's mom. But back at this time, see, that's why I think she's sort of trying to telegraph Ashton and Mila's apology, but doing a bad job of it. Back at this time, there's no question. It was her friend Danny who just asked her to come to court and support him. Now I ask you, why does she not say Danny Masterson's name? Ashton and Mila actually said Danny Masterson's name. What Ashton and Mila did not do was specifically mention Danny Masterson's victims. But they at least acknowledged their apology in their video was about Danny Masterson. Emily doesn't even say that. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. Why? The hearing that Emily went to was the arraignment. And by the way, the hearing that she went to, there wasn't even a hearing. They showed up, they requested a postponement was granted, everybody left. There was no hearing. So Emily, do tell. Inquiring minds want to know. What transpired between the time you showed up to the arraignment to support Danny and help intimidate his victims and the time that you decided you should not have done that? What happened? How much time transpired? What made you change your mind, Emily? Okay, I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see the good in people, and I misjudged him. That's a very fair statement. That statement perfectly reflects what I said in my last video earlier today about this subject, which is that as a dyed-in-the-wool, second-gen, true-believing Scientologist, Emily would not want to believe that Danny was even capable of doing these crimes, and almost certainly did not believe he had committed these crimes. The line that Scientology has been feeding Scientologists is that all of the women who've accused Danny Masterson of rape, even though it's Scientologists and non-Scientologists, it's people in California, it's people in Florida, it's people in Canada, it spans multiple decades. Somehow Leah Remini rounded up all these women and convinced them to get their story straight and get on the same page and bring Scientology down a notch by bringing down its C-list celebrity, Danny Masterson. That's what Scientologists are told. That is what Emily most likely would have believed, not only because she was a Scientologist, but also because she was Danny Masterson's good friend. Okay. She continues on. I have never spoken with him since. Now that's funny because there was 2 entire trials that occurred since the arraignment that Emily showed up to. Danny Masterson's best friend is Chris Wadhams. Chris Wadhams tours with Emily's band, Dead Sarah.
Damn! Plausible deniability is starting to go out the window a little bit here for Linkin Park singer Emily Armstrong.
Chris Wadhams was at every day of the first trial and the second trial. I sat right across the aisle from him in court every day for the second trial. Chris Wadhams is such good friends with Danny and Danny's wife Bijou that Chris donated a kidney to Bijou. So, and by the way, a whole mess of Danny Masterson's friends would show up every day. Scientologists who are also very good friends with Sarah. We are talking about who's the guy that was married to when I try to remember the names of these Scientologists, I'm going to forget them. So let's skip that part. I won't. If it comes to me, I'll mention them. By the way, the Scientologists who were showing up every day to support Danny Masterson in court are the same Scientologists that Emily was just hanging out with on July 4th, because this isn't a shocker. She's a Scientologist and she's friends with the entire crowd that Danny Masterson is a part of. She's trying to distance herself in some way that is only believable, that would only be believable to people who don't know her, don't know her crowd, don't understand Scientology, and don't understand the LA Scientology scene. Okay. I have never spoken with him since. Next sentence. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. Now, this is a little bit of a play on words. What do you mean unimaginable? Now, a charitable interpretation would be shocking, incredible, unbelievable, mind-boggling details. Or it also could mean like details that are actually hard to believe are true. Okay, we can be charitable or we can be cynical, but that's my point. She used words that to the outward-facing world might mean one thing, but to the Scientologists, whose is the only opinion she actually cares about, means something very different. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. Well, yeah, we know that from reading it in the press, Emily. Do you think he was guilty? Do you think he was guilty? Do you believe Danny's victims? Because I don't think you do. Now, let's look at the last sentence, which is also the last paragraph. And this is where she makes the exact same mistake that Ashton and Mila did, okay? So her apology portion was worse as Ashton and Mila's, and her landing was just as bad. Okay, she goes, to say it as clearly as possible. I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of these crimes. Okay, let's break that sentence down. I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of abuse and the victims of violence against women. Emily, you had one job, just one job. You could have done what Ashton and Mila did not do. You could have said, I empathize with Danny Masterson's victims. You don't even have to name them. You could have gotten away with just saying empathize. You wouldn't even have had to say apologize, because at least you would have done what Ashton and Mila didn't. Say Danny Masterson's victims. So at no point in your so-called apology do you even mention Danny Masterson. And at no point in your apology do you even mention his victims. So what the hell are you apologizing for? Okay. Oh, now I don't know why Ashton and Mila couldn't bring themselves to just say Danny Masterson's victims. But I do think I know why Emily Armstrong can't say that. In Scientology, it is considered a high crime, a suppressive act, to in any way aid or assist someone that Scientology calls a known declared suppressive person. Now, any former Scientologist who has ever spoken about publicly against Scientology is a declared suppressive person.
Including
Jane
me.
Doe 1 and Jane Doe 3 specifically are known declared suppressive people. I'm only not including Jane Doe 2 in that because
All right, so you can kind of basically get the picture of like how her apology was kind of Scientology PR to save face, to kind of, you know, put out the public statement of like, you know, acknowledge her association, her affiliation, but not, but stay distant enough to where, you know, yeah, all that was bad and it was horrible, but, you know, pay more attention to this music or whatever. I see some people in the chat even being like, I don't care about any of this. And, you know, I get it, separating the art from the artist. And there are definitely, I mean, there are musicians out there and artists out there who have directly been involved in sexual assaults and have been arrested for it. And, you know, a lot of rappers in the news recently, the diddler himself being one of them, and you know, R. Kelly. I mean, geez, the amount of people who still sing his songs at my karaoke gigs. You know, it's like they don't care. It doesn't bother them. Some people might even go as far as to say Michael Jackson is one of those people where, you know, sketchy kind of murky details of his past, but people still rock with his music anyway. Now the Michael Jackson thing's a little different because he never actually got convicted of anything, never served any jail time or anything like that. So again, more plausible deniability there. I still listen to Michael Jackson's music. I don't know what the fuck he did. No one can ever know what the fuck he did. There's so much financial incentive for anybody who wanted to accuse Michael Jackson of things that he had already been known to be accused of. And, you know, Jordy Chandler's dad, Evan Chandler, kind of started that whole ball rolling. And then it kind of became like, well, there's gold in them there hills. And Michael Jackson would not stop importing impoverished kids to his Neverland Ranch to hang out and whatever. And so he wasn't doing himself any favors. But, you know, I guess, I don't know, if you feel like you're truly not guilty, you're going to keep doing what you love doing, which is apparently helping impoverished children. But then at the same time, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know. I'm not going to weigh on that. My point is that there's a long timeline of artists who have done sketchy things, whatever. Emily wasn't directly involved in that, but she did kind of support the guy. So just getting that out of the way. Just wanted to clarify how her apology in my last video, as I listened to Aaron explain it, I was like, oh, that's not actually as, cut and dry and as wholesome as I thought it was. It did seem more and more like a PR spin than an actual legitimate apology. Just kind of wanted to, it's almost like she kind of just wished the whole thing would just kind of go away. So after some time had passed, then Chester's son, Jamie, who I'm not going to lie is a little bit batshit insane, actually went on to Aaron's channel. Aaron has a friend he's had several friends in Los Angeles, Scientologists, or former Scientologists rather. I think, forget the guy's name. Anyway, one of Aaron's friends, I think is like Alex something or other, and he's got his own channel and everything. Not as big as Aaron Smith-Levin's channel. He's got like over 200,000 subscribers. So he has the biggest platform of any ex-Scientologist to talk about this kind of stuff. Anyway, Aaron's friend ran into Jamie at one of the Linkin Park shows, and I guess through back channel networking, ended up on Aaron's podcast. And you kind of get to hear from him. They have like an over 2-hour conversation. I, unfortunately, did not get to listen to the entire conversation. Honestly, kind of 30, 45 minutes into it, Chester's son, Jamie, just is a little bit insufferable. He's a little bit batshit insane. He goes on these long-winded tangents where he doesn't really say anything. It's just kind of like a bunch of words that don't really have much of a point. He's very vague on a lot of the things that he says. Aaron's constantly trying to get him to try to clear up the things that he says. So let's watch a little bit of that, and then we'll get to what Chester's mom has said recently. Then maybe we'll look at some other music news, like what the fuck P. Diddy's up to these days.
Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Aaron.
Aaron is here, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day is a great day. Not to be in a cult. We are talking a bit more Linkin Park today, guys. Earlier, well, let's see.
See if I can get to where he actually. Oh, okay, there he is.
Jamie Bennington shared a screenshot of recent comments made by Mike Shinoda, in which the founding member addressed how fans may need time to wrap their heads around the band reforming with Emily Armstrong. In the comments, Mike Shinoda also said that those who disrespect him due to the decision will lose my respect in return. Jamie responded, "Hey, Mike, people aren't having a difficult time wrapping their head around the prospect of Linkin Park reinventing itself. They're having a hard time wrapping their head around how you hired your friend of many years, Emily Armstrong, to replace Chester Bennington, knowing Emily's history in Scientology and her history as an ally to Danny Masterson." So, who better to discuss this and all things Linkin Park with Chester Bennington's son, Jamie Bennington. Welcome, Jamie.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I see you're wearing some additional items.
Yeah, I had a scarf behind me, and sometimes I like to wrap it around my head like hair because I'm bald. It makes me feel pretty.
You and I discussed it beforehand, but let's tell the audience what is the name Boku?
Okay, get ready for it. What is the name Boku? The explanation of this that this young man's about to go on here is some of the most. It's kind of the first indicator that I was like, oh, this kid's a little fucking nuts. But yeah, let's go. Let's listen to this explanation here.
Oh yeah. So Jamie is the easiest name for me to use when I interface with the world, because that's what my family knows me as. It's what my friends know me as. That's what my like employers might know me as. It's my legal name. But in reality, I'm not just Jamie in here. I'm like a million other people.
What? What does that mean? You're not just I'm not just Josh in here. I'm a million other people, you guys.
And that's what I started saying when I came out last October. I had said, I might look like Jamie, I might sound like Jamie, but the Jamie you think you know is not the Jamie that's standing in front of you, and it probably won't be the same Jamie you see the next time you see me. You know what I mean? Like it's
No, I don't know what you mean. The Josh that's here before you on live stream is not the Josh you might see next time you see me, and it may not have been the Josh that you saw already. I'm just like, oh brother, he's one of these kind of people.
It's that quick. So Boku is one of my you might call it a personality or a moniker or something. To me it represents my higher self right now. That I have my feminine self, which is Jamie, which is the form,
What? Feminine form, which is Jamie? The balding guy?
Moon, so to speak. It's the interaction I have in the real world, and then I have the mental world, of course, the one within, and that one takes on a different name every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't think it's personality dysphoria, because he doesn't seem all that bothered by it. It seems like this is a conscious choice that like he feels very good about. Dysphoria usually denotes that it's giving you some kind of a anxiety or some kind of a turbulence in your life. This just seems like a conscious choice that he's doing just to be one of those fucking weird LA kids, I guess. You gotta be different somehow,
And now its name is Boku. So, but I believe if I did my research correctly, Boku stands for the term I in the English language.
No, it doesn't. In what language? What are you talking about? Chester Bennington's son.
And so essentially it's like a master of self bringing themselves down to the servant level so they can interact with people, bring yourself to the world instead of have the world bring itself to you.
Yeah, I literally thought it was some Dragon Ball Z shit when I first heard it.
I am a servant to my community and to the people in my life. So it felt like a nice middle ground of like, okay, you have your ego and you have what you want, and in your life, what you are, and then you have what you could be. And for me,
what is you have in your life, what you have and what you are and what you could be? Aaron's just trying to fall. He's like, what the fuck is this kid talking about? I just asked for a simple explanation of why you're going by Boku instead of Jamie. And again, the personality disorder, that's it seems to be when it's problematic for the person, but he seems like this is just something he's kind of adopted through some kind of weird faux spirituality kind of thing where he's not like, oh yeah, no, I joined a cult and this is the new name they gave me, or oh, I'm a Buddhist and now this is my name. He's just pulling shit out of his ass right now.
That's just embodied in being there and outspoken about certain things and interacting with in terms of certain conversations with certain people. And so when I go do that, or when I plan things out, that's Boku. When I go and act them out, that's Jamie.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
And So there's kind of a nice dichotomy. It's like a weird.
I like how he's all smiling and like kind of like just like, yeah, you know what I mean, and we're all like, no, we don't know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, he's obviously coping hard. Yeah, before anybody starts getting into, well, dude, his dad died like 7 years ago. Yeah, my dad died in 2018, so I also I'm in the Dead Dad Society club. So yeah, I don't want to hear that as an excuse for this kid's weirdness.
Weird. For a lot of people, it might come off as like a weird metaphysical concept, but I believe people change all the time, and I've just come up with different ways of allowing that to exist, the change. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
You come off as a douche already. Anyway.
My pleasure. And we have agreed it is okay for me to call you Jamie, though, in this interview.
Yes, it's absolutely okay.
Want the audience to know that.
Yeah.
You know, I want to just have kind of a wide-ranging, freewheeling conversation. This isn't intended to specifically be just a chat about Emily Armstrong or Scientology or the new tour. I'd like to just chat with you in general. I mean, obviously, we're going to touch on all of these things, but you've got some time this evening?
I do. Yep. I am here and ready for whatever you got. I remember thinking, I was like, I talk a lot, and as
yeah,
many
you
people
do
know now, and it would be really nice to have somebody else do the talking.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. What he just said. I talk a lot, and it'll be nice to have somebody else do the talking, because then he proceeds to literally do all the talking in this fucking quote unquote interview. This is not an interview. This is a crazy monologue from Jamie where you occasionally get a few little bits and pieces of useful information about what's going on behind the scenes in the Linkin Park camp. But you by no means get an interview. It is and we're not going to watch this whole thing, but it is a rambling. I just want you to get a sample of like what one of Chester has like several kids, but just one of Chester's kids, the most outspoken one, a little bit about what he's like as a person.
Take me wherever you want to go. I'm here with you. And my cat's joining us sometimes. She hasn't really made up her mind. So if you see a shadow around.
What's the cat's name?
Firefly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron's like, oh,
she's
okay.
a real angel. She was actually at the show with us. She didn't go to the show, but she traveled with us. So
okay.
She's a good
Awesome.
Time for a beer.
I'll tell you what, I've never, in all the commentary that I've done on this channel, I've never really encountered like a whole other
He's like if David Cross was cosplaying Prince.
Fan base. There's nothing, I can't really compare the videos I've been doing about Linkin Park the last couple weeks to anything else I've ever done. There's nothing else I've ever discussed that had its own giant
beer,
fan
Red
base
Bull,
that I was running right into, and it's been interesting to see how many members of that fan base really appreciate the conversation and the videos that have been occurring, and how many are like I've got thousands of new haters. It's amazing.
Haters is a good word. Yeah,
and it's
I feel
funny
that.
because I guess one of the reasons I just use the word haters is because, I mean, it's not even necessarily that they think there's something wrong with what I'm saying. Some of them do, but many of them just don't like that it's being said. Like, okay, you said your piece, you said your piece, move on. Now now you're milking it. Now you're just piling on. Now you're being culty about the whole thing. Anyway, it's just interesting. I'm not even criticizing those who
I
feel
said
that
the
way,
same thing. I said literally the same thing that you just said. Oh, also I have this bracelet, this yarn bracelet I wore to the concert, but it functions as like a statement, but also as a cat bracelet because my cat loves just attacking.
Okay, what does that have to do with anything, Jamie? Come on, like stay on course here, buddy.
Me, so,
no one cares about your
my
bracelet.
Left hand is going to be occupied for a little bit. But I said the same thing about the Scientology fan base. I'm going to call it that because even Serge and I were talking about this. Serge Delmar and I, we were like,
Serge Delmar, that was the ex-Scientologist friend of Aaron who was at the show who met Jamie and probably facilitated this interview.
It's the greatest stroke of luck because what should have been two different non-connected entities are now hyper-connected in a way that's not a good thing. It's not like we're over here like, yay, we're praising the transparency and the support that people are giving. It's like, it's hate. It's haters. It's like, for me, if like I recently posted on my Instagram different articles that I thought were relevant to my discussion. And on all of those articles, and even my live streams, the one I did with Serge after the show, which I thought was really good, there's nothing but hate over there. There are a couple of people who will try to be kind about it and try to like keep people kind, but it doesn't work. And then they come in the DMs, and like I made it public. I was even threatened by somebody claiming to be with Scientology.
I did a video about that. I saw.
I'm sure the quote unquote hate has nothing to do with the fact that you come off as one of the most unrelatable human beings to probably 90% of the population, but that could just be me. I don't know.
That was crazy.
Show. Yeah, I know. I was.
I got $5 GoFundMe from GoGo Flamingo. How was your relationship with your dad? Genuinely, I'm gonna say genuinely curious. I'm in the Dead Parents Club from 2019. We had a pretty good relationship up until kind of towards the end of my dad's passing. You know, it's a tale as old as time when it comes to like once you get an injury and then the doctors prescribe you something and then you start overdoing it, and then before you know it, you know, opioid epidemic kind of shit going on there. As to try not to get too deep into my personal life, but yeah, he kind of started slipping away a little bit into that world, and you know, he just he didn't take the best care of himself in the world, and yeah, but before that though, like, it was great. Like, he got me into music and he bought me all my first musical equipment. We would go to like concerts together, like whenever bands would come in town that we would both want to see. Yeah, it sucks, you know. I miss him every day, and it's like one of those persistent things that just always, you know, that all is always there. But you know, it gets easier and more tolerable. But yeah, it was. I don't know. I probably haven't processed it fully yet. Probably need to go to therapy, but I don't have the money.
Surprised to see that people were picking it up so much, and then I was surprised even to see like I'm gonna be really honest with you. After this entire situation, I'm not entirely sure how much of the media isn't controlled by Scientology or something as big as it, because I've been misquoted at least 3 times already, and what I'm actually talking about has not been reported on, and there are repeat offenders too, like people even just reporting things wrong in general. And it's been really interesting to watch how there's a correlation between hate and the comments you receive and the interactions and the way that the media talks about the situation and how that amplifies those interactions. I've seen a very interesting correlation. So I said the same.
You see how he said at the beginning of the interview that he does a lot of talking and it'll be nice for someone else to do the talking for once? You see how he's not allowing Aaron to ask him any pertinent questions about fucking anything?
Same thing. You know, Serge and I were like, it's crazy because we shouldn't even have like a floor, like a medium through which we could interact as being Scientologists in Linkin Park. But now there is, and I totally understand what you are describing in terms of your interactions with people, because some people have even apologized. Some people have even come up and been like, yeah, I'm really sorry after everything I've seen, you know, I was wrong to treat you that way. Just Another Iger, repeat offender, on my Instagram, somebody who comes over and seeds chaos and is just generally like very difficult. They came back to me after almost a year and a half, 2 years of this, and said, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'm going to stop bothering you. I'm just going to watch from now on. So it's a mixed bag. I totally understand that. And I can only imagine what it's like on your side with what you have to normally deal with given Scientology and escaping a cult, but also like people are already fickle enough.
It's true. It's true.
And that's not mean. That's a kind acknowledgement.
You know, this whole thing is just fascinating. My approach on this channel in general is kind of to, in a sense, use Scientology's thirst.
Aaron talks about like how he uses the channel to like raise awareness about Scientology, yada yada yada. Gonna kind of skip into this a little bit more.
What would be Dead by Sunrise with Ryan Shuck and Amir Darak. There was just a lot of what I would describe as being fallout. And I kept trying to explain to people, this isn't political. This is human. This isn't me going crazy. This is me expressing for the first time in a way that doesn't pander to your desire to be safe. I don't want to be safe anymore. I've seen things that I can't even explain at this moment. I've been through things I can't even explain, but there are a few people who might understand.
All right, Kira, Rise Again. So I'll give you a TLDR of what's going on with the stream. So far, we're talking about, first of all, we ended the last stream with Emily Armstrong apologizing on Instagram stories, saying that she basically disavowed her relationship with rapist Danny Masterson, but she never actually said him by name. It was a very PR-heavy Scientological spin on the whole thing. So the first portion I showed was a video of Aaron, the bald guy on the left, talking about how the explanation was actually kind of a bullshit PR thing. Now we're getting into Chester's son finally speaking out. This is Chester Bennington's son, Jamie, although he goes by the hippie-ass name Boku. His personality is different whenever you talk to him. You have no fucking idea. And he's very long-winded and bloviating in his speeches about anything. And like I said, when I first watched this, I wasn't able to get to the whole thing because I was like, this guy's a little bit insufferable. So now we're trying to kind of limp through it a little bit here and see if we can get any kind of interesting tidbits from this weird little fella. She did not take back the apology, but she didn't, talking to someone in the chat goes, she took it back. She did not take back the apology, but it was a very bland, vanilla apology that would still keep her in good standing with her Scientology cult that she's still a part of. So that was kind of the whole issue with her apology. So that was the TLDR so far. And then I'm going to get into Chester's mom and what she had to say about, which is way shorter, and it's just as a printed clip. It's not it's not an interview of her speaking, unlike this thing.
So, when I go to someone like Brad Delson, I'm going to them because I think they might understand.
Brad Delson is the guitar player in Linkin Park who is not actually touring with the band. Because essentially he said in an article that he just doesn't really like touring and he would rather just stay home and write the guitar riffs but not actually go out and play them.
Also, as a child in a family dynamic, I'm going to the adult in my family who said, I'll be there for you if you need anything. I went and did that. And almost every single family member I've ever gone to for help has figuratively spit in my face and kicked me out because it's not the main narrative. I mean, even my own biological mother, I got into, I didn't get into shit. I got into a fist fight with my mom, my biological mom, for standing up for my partner. Yeah. They were the one hitting me. I didn't do anything. And that was the same year I met them. So that was November of 2019. In October, that same parent had gotten drunk and let loose that, and this is Elka Lindsay, my mother, had gotten drunk and let loose the knowledge on my partner that my father and the way that I perceived our relationship and our history.
Emo Basis, you fucking nailed that shit. Jamie is one of those kind of dudes that you act like you're listening to, but in reality you have no idea what they're talking about. Yes, 100%.
We're two different things. The thing that I knew and the thing that he was is different. I was walking around saying, my dad didn't know about me until I was 8 years old, and then he was in my life, and he was the best father ever. And I'm just a sore loser, I guess, because I don't really like.
Damn, I don't know what currency ARS is, but it's 100 of it. So thank you, Kira Rise Against. I much appreciate that.
Some of the ways he interacts with me, and for everybody else, it was like, well, shut up, you made it. And it's like, I didn't make it. This, fathers still interact with their kids. It still hurts. It doesn't matter if they're famous or not. And it's just been an extremely volatile environment. And she didn't even want to acknowledge that she had let that slip. So when I realized that for many years I had been, kind of like coached or groomed or brainwashed into certain positions where I was changing my own narrative and not even aware of it by the people in my life I was supposed to trust the most with my own safety and my own development.
I think this interview would have been a lot more helpful if he had said, for example, like he just said, he was coached into thinking a different way, yada, yada, yada. And it would have been nice if he had said, for example, there was a time when this happened, and then my mom told me this, and then this happened. Now, also in this interview, Jamie claims that he never even met Chester until he was like 7 or 8 years old, something like that. I think he's going on about.
It was like, no. And then that's where all my problems with my biological mom stemmed from. So, I've had a lot of problems with people in the band for a long time. I've been going through things since Chester died. It's been 7 years. And I've been kind of like reconditioned. Well, not kind of, I've been reconditioning myself to the truth and my own undiagnosed and unidentified or, unresolved traumas and all these kinds of things. So, to go back to the band, another issue that I had was that I actually was mentored by Anna Shinoda for a while. When my father died, I was like, oh, maybe this is the time that the family will actually be a family. It's not just about business, If there was ever any reason to go beyond the, well, you grew up in a machine and it's different now and we're all just like in the business and you're just an adult, we could become real family. It was this moment. And I was
How did she mentor you?
Well, I would go to her for advice because as a Caucasian individual in my modern context.
As a Caucasian individual, where are we going with this one?
I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm an artist. I'm like, I don't think I should have the right to say just anything about anything. I became a wildland firefighter a few years ago just to go to the reservation so I could understand what was being done to our native peoples in Arizona. So I worked alongside them and I in a very respectful way and helped protect their land for, it was only 4 weeks, but it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. And so I've been just like trying to get this, trying to be true in my authenticity of expression and my authenticity of communication, knowing that I've been kind of backstabbed by my Caucasian upbringing as a white male from Phoenix who has a celebrity father. It's a real Cinderella story. And with that being said, I would go to her and say, well, is it okay for me to talk about mental health in this way? Is it okay for me to...
Whatever, man. I don't know. Let's just skip through this here a little bit. He can blather on, like not getting to any kind of point. Another super chat. That was that Australian $5 from Kiara Rise Against. He wants to know the best Rise Against song. Who's he? Is it me? Right. Yeah. I'm not saying I don't like this dude. I don't fucking know him, but like I can just kind of tell from this interview that like emo bassist put it. He's one of those dudes that just talks on, and you sit there and you nod your head and like, uh-huh. And in your mind, you're like, I have no fucking idea what you're going on about, mate.
That Chester moved back to Arizona when I was in high school and middle school because Chester moved us all out to Newport as a family. And then his ex-wife had it mandated that he be within a certain mileage of her in Arizona. So we ended up, after 3 months of living in Newport next to my father, we all had to move back to Arizona. And then Chester decided to go back to Arizona, which was how he got into that situation from 2013 to 2014, where he was kind of stuck between Arizona and California as a professional. And so that's an important thing to say. But also, he went to jail. He got caught for violating his parole on like dozens of accounts. And he went to jail immediately. The CPS came for the second time and they tossed up the entire house, and he went to jail as like the last time I saw him before the whole Chester thing erupted. And so by the time that I even asked about Chester, me and my little brother Isaiah, whose story I'm not telling for him, he can always tell his own story, but this is my story too. He asked Chester when I asked my mom, I'll back up. When I was 6.5 years old, I said, Mom, do I have a dad? She said, yes, I'll get back to you. It turned out that Chester had just broken even with Hybrid Theory. They were touring it, which was a very long tour for those of you who don't know. And he ended up having to meet me in between the tours. So he was it was during the time that Chester was going to do the Grey Days reunion concert for Bobby Benish, a band member from the second iteration of Grey Days who received a brain tumor without his knowledge.
To my knowledge, Grey Days was one of Chester's bands before or concurrent with Linkin Park. That was like a side thing.
Just like one day had a brain tumor and his family couldn't financially handle the burden. So he was going to do a show for them. And then Linkin Park was called back into the studio for Meteora. It was that same time that Chester came and met me. And so at about that time, Chester came into the house, you know, a year after I asked for him during the break. And he was like, you know, holy shit, you're my kid. Like for real, you're my kid. That's crazy. Like there's no denying this. And my little brother Isaiah looked up at him and said, are you my dad too? And as a kid, it didn't even cross my mind like, oh wait, we both forgot Jeremy Black, you know? And my mom never did anything to fucking help us through that. And so as you know, it's coming around to Chester, it's like I'm coming from this extremely toxic environment where my PTSD is already so aggressive. I'm biting my nails down to the blood and I can't sleep and I'm having night terrors and I'm like basically being possessed at night and I'm suffering home invasions and my mom's doing drugs with the people she's buying them from. She went from being dependent on speed to being dependent on methamphetamine, which is why she, at the age of about 7.5 or 8, gave us up to her sister, me and my brother. And then I was kind of shuffled in between Chester and my aunt and my uncle for a long time.
Should you be like telling the whole internet all of this? This feels like some deeply personal stuff that we don't necessarily need to know about. That has literally nothing to do with Emily Armstrong replacing your dad in Linkin Park. Didn't necessarily need the Jamie memoir just yet, I don't think. Surely if you had an editor, a lot of this would be more concisely structured. This is the importance of an editor, people. Whenever you read memoirs, they take all these fucking shotgun thoughts and assemble them all in a nice clean timeline that is easily followable by your average person.
So I went from like this kind of like quasi-Baptist evangelist household, which is very, very tough in the first place. I mean, those two together is insane. Taking Baptist Christian beliefs and evangelic Christian beliefs and trying to mix them together is just, I don't know who the hell thought.
Evangelical Baptist is my religion that I grew up in. Is that why Chester wasn't allowed to swear on his on their records? Because he was secretly a Christian.
To do that.
Who was that? Was that Jeremy and your mom, or the Baptist and
No, that's all my mom's side. All my mom's side are Christians. I have family from like the deep South in Pennsylvania.
Wait, deep South in Pennsylvania? What? That's not the deep South, my guy. Unless you said deep South and Pennsylvania. But hey, man, if you're talking deep South, I'm your guy. Baptist, deep South, I am an authority on this. What else you got to say about it, brother?
Practice like strict Baptist. They brought it over to Arizona. Then my grandma, my mom,
honk, me. Oh man, it's funny.
His mom, Cheryl, she wanted to be evangelist, so we ended up becoming non-denominational evangelist Christians who also had a background in the Baptist beliefs because my mom was a hybrid of those two beliefs. And so on top of that, there was substance use, and then there was all this debauchery going on. And then I met Chester, and it was like, wait, all your beliefs don't really mean anything. You're going into Satan's domain. You're going to go to the Luciferian side of the thing. So, you know, all of a sudden your dad's the rock star, and then you're stuck in this house. And by the way, my mom's sister and her husband were doomsday preppers by all definitions. So they ended up
wild.
Wait, was this the same mom that's like doing methamphetamine and speed and shit? She's also the evangelical Baptist doomsday prepper. Boku, could you explain a little bit about that?
Oh, they ended up making their own compound. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
oh yeah, then the stupid ass mutes himself. We'll fast forward past that. Yeah, okay, anyway.
In front of my face. You know, they literally did not acknowledge these things. And then they're just going to go to NY as if they don't know that they did that. So it's like, it's all a very struggle.
There is no Jamie, only Zool.
It's like, you know, when you have media to cover you properly, it's a different story. But when you're just at the whim of like all the egos in your lives, like lives plural, because I don't just live one life, like I said, you know, you just got to call it what it is. So yeah, I've had those instances. I've had a lot of weird shit happen to me mentally that it's hard to explain.
Was your dad religious?
He said so, but I think everybody who was born and raised in what used to be the Derry, Arizona, downtown Phoenix, but now is metropolitan Phoenix, would say like, "Oh, I'm a God believer. I believe I'm a God fearing man." I mean, I used to go to church with Chester at Cornerstone in Newport Beach, but um, he it was kind of one of those weird things. At one point, I remember asking Elko, I was like, "Is my dad religious? Like, is he a
Elko is his mom, by the way. I don't know why he calls his parents on first name base. Sometimes he'll call them on a first name basis. Sometimes he'll say my mom. He never seems to call Chester his dad. I guess that's because he met him when he was like 8 and he wasn't really in his life all that much.
Christian like us?" Because you've been in a cult. When you're religious, it matters to the people around you if those people buy into it. So
Dude, Aaron is trying his fucking hardest to be a good interviewer right now. I've seen Aaron interview people. He's quite good at it. And there's when Aaron is not animated and smiling and talking and shit, like you know he's fucking bored as shit doing because it's a one-way street, man. This isn't an interview. This is a monologue where where Jamie has an audience of 1 and all the thousands of people who are on the live stream, but his current captive is Aaron, and Aaron just has to sit here and be like, all right, when is he going to shut the fuck up so we can start steering this interview towards like actual relevant information?
I was thinking like, wow, I'm Christian at this moment because that's what my family is, and the understanding of people and the understanding of forgiveness. I'm Christian. And my mom said, well, you should ask him. And I asked him and he goes, oh, well, yes, I'm Christian for sure. And then, there's an uptick in church activity. And then all of a sudden there's no church. There's kind of this
I see.
and time.
See, he put a break in the conversation. Jamie did, and Aaron goes, I see, and Aaron's about to ask a question, then Jamie continues to talk more.
It was like Chester actively tried to go to church for like a year or two. Really, it wasn't that long.
I see.
Yeah.
So was your dad open with you about his struggles with mental health?
If a catty joke is open. I think now it's interesting for me to watch back on his interviews and go, oh, he wasn't joking, because he was such a trickster.
To be honest, that's how I felt about Chester's lyrics. Like when he died, I kind of had that same exact thought. I go, oh, I guess he wasn't joking. And all those like lyrics of like, I don't know what I'm fighting for and why I have to scream, but now I got this clarity to say what I mean. All that shit. I was like, oh shit, I guess he really was like being for real when he was singing these lyrics. Yeah, I kind of had the same thought there. So I'll agree with Jamie on that one.
He was not allowed to. I always bring it up, and I'll bring it up again because somebody forgot it on their greatest hits album. I'm not allowed to say sir. That's Mike Shinoda.
What'd they just bleep out? Weirdly, that's weird.
On The Hunting Party, and that's pretty.
Oh, Mike Shinoda wrote that song. Whoops. Shows what the fuck I know.
Pretty much the vibe of Chester. It's like, okay, he's gonna joke about this because there's nowhere else to put it. If he were serious, it would be taken about as seriously as if he was fucking off about it. So Chester's always hypersexualized, hyper aggressive, and in my mind, that's his coping mechanism. When you're being beat up by a gang of people who are all like, no, you fucking deserve this shit. You're a piece of
something that you've never experienced.
Shit. Nobody cares about you. And you're like, yeah, fuck me, right? It's that kind of energy for like almost every interview that I see with him. And I think that's important because something I wasn't able to see, but now I'm able to see, and not only myself, but people I know like Mike Shinoda and also my father, is the way in which certain energies arise in their bodily interactions, expressions.
Ew!
Given that they're lying or hiding something. Like when Mike Shinoda recently, after that Zane Lowe interview, went onto the radio station and let slip that he met Emily in 2007. 2019. It was definitely 2019, but he clearly said 2017. It's like, I've been through too many issues with you and people around you to know that that wasn't what you just said. You said 2017. that's really interesting. And I think that needs to be handled with more finesse, because people are just going, well, he's tired. No, he's not. He just started. He just started his entire New World tour. He just started the album. Baby, he's back. No. There's no warm up. Emily doesn't get a warm up. They had 8 months to practice. No, when you go out and you're selling that product, you better be the best you can be. There's no time to slip, not with the way that things need to be addressed and they're not being addressed, not with the energy in the room. Hell no. Somebody's dead.
Yeah.
Foundation
prior to the whole Emily Armstrong thing.
Yeah.
When is the last time you had meaningful contact with any of the band members?
I left the third or fourth part of my I'm going to tell my story to who I want to, how I want to, when I want to, because that's my God-given right, and you seem to forget who I am and who I'm related to and what the situation actually is. Response to Anna Shinoda, like, she never responded.
Uh-oh. What's happening?
Aaron totally did that on purpose. He's like, okay, bunghole, you're out of here. Okay, he's back now.
But with that being said, let's see. Anna Shinoda,
by the way, is Mike Shinoda's wife, for those of you who didn't put those two puzzle pieces together.
In Conclusion was dropped 6/23/23. So June last year, before I went public. I sent her a bunch of songs because I'm annoying like that. I always got a playlist following me around. It was a bunch of different kinds of songs. It was New Man and Message in a Hammer by Obongiar, which is what a wonderful artist. Standing Ovation by Little Sims. What a wonderful artist.
Is he about to give us his whole fucking playlist that I don't even know what it's in relation to?
And then 2 songs by Manchester Orchestra called No Rule and Letting Go. And then I pointed out that the on the 26th, I did the Fighting with Myself music video, but she didn't respond at all. Like, she has not responded to any of this. None of the Linkin Park management has responded to this. Somebody I worked for, Bill Silva, no contact. I reached out to him, texted him only a couple months ago. He responded when I asked for tickets and safety to the show. He said nothing. Ryan DeMarty, nothing. I talked to all of Machine Shop, which of course Anna owns Machine Shop Records. Let's see here. Brad Delson, let's see if I got his text in here. I think I deleted his text because I reached out to him a couple of times in the last 2 years just to ask him how he was doing, and he never responded. And so yeah, it was June of last year that I last talked to Anna, and she was not talking to me at that point because what had happened was she came to me on my birthday. And she was like, in May, and she was like, I hope you have a great life. I hope you have a great birthday. And I was like, how the hell could you say anything like that to me after what we just went through and after all that? That's insane to me that you would think that that was an appropriate response. And this is why. And I gave her a 4-part response, like I do with everything and everyone else.
Like with everything in your entire life, you have to give it like a 16-part response for, hey, how are you doing today? Well, my name's Boku, and it means 1,000 people inside me, and, I'm on this plane today, but tomorrow I'll be on another one, and when I was 7, I went to Hawaii and took a dump, and then I met my dad, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
So, yeah, it was just kind of weird. I was like, okay, well, then she's not going to respond, and then shortly after that, Kyle Christner came out. So, very interesting stuff was overlapping while I was going out public last year. Yeah.
What was your first introduction to anything Scientology related? It wasn't just Emily, right? That wasn't the first.
Hell no.
Time. Yeah.
No.
What was it? I'm trying to know.
You're insane for standing out in front of this. Just like Serge. I told Serge, I was like, bro, Serge and Michael, I was like, dude, you guys are wild. Like, we're out here after the show doing a live stream unprotected after being threatened. Like, they said they find us outside the show. Like, that's crazy. So, or me outside the show. Give me some love from Mike and friends. And, I feel like a really good place to start with that is that I've been researching cults since Chester died. That's a fact. I was writing a film, title of which is total gibberish. I call it Talis Falhije, which to me is just the essence of total creation. You know,
He's talking a lot of Talis Fahije tonight, man, which is total nonsense.
you just take the language and the dimension that you exist in and literally remat purely or organically, authentically, unique to my perspective. And that was my whole goal was, and this is actually a script that I used to share with Anna and ask her opinion about writing certain perspectives, because I was like, I want to reinvent horror. I don't think people are acknowledging that the truest fear that we have is ourselves.
Okay.
Society.
Shut up. Let's fast forward. Basically, when Aaron starts talking is when I will stop again, because he is just yapping away. Okay, it looks like Aaron's about to ask a question.
Myself a fan of any band. I'm a dilettante when it comes to music, okay? But if I was a hardcore Linkin Park fan, it would honestly be important to me that the lead singer of the band doesn't believe in mental illness, doesn't believe in depression, doesn't believe in therapy, doesn't believe in counseling, believes that someone who is a victim of child trauma did something in their past life to deserve that, to pull that in. Like, these things do matter. At least
I say so.
to me, they matter. If I was a hardcore fan, I think it would matter. From your perspective, what exactly were your thoughts on the Emily Armstrong hire, and why?
There's a lot to say about the Emily.
Oh, I'm sure you do have a lot to say.
E is for elephant. Well, first of all, like I said, I don't have contact with the band like that. I'm extremely worried about Rob Borden. I don't think it's appropriate.
Rob Borden was their previous drummer who decided not to join the new incarnation of Linkin Park.
For Bradford Delson to have given a full-blown letter of approval for the band, which also signaled his stepping away from the touring aspect of the band, X, Y, and Z, because it's weird that Brad did that, but Rob hasn't. And I think that matters in this Emily conversation, because I wasn't made aware of what the band had in store. The band has repeatedly said that they had no intention of even being here in the first place, but then there's been contradictory evidence that's just appeared almost instantaneously, because it was seeded years ago to prove the opposite. It's like, you guys were always here. And so the whole thing is kind of weird, because it seems like there are power dynamics at play that exclude the actual, what I believe should be true influence of the co-founders. Because a lot of people would like to sit here and criticize me for being upset with Mike Shinoda, and I promise this will focus on Emily soon. But the band is not Mike Shinoda's band. Fort Minor, The Rising Tide, Post Traumatic, those are Mike's solo projects. I've antagonistically claimed that Post Traumatic is actually a Linkin Park album, and that they've never stopped Linkin Park. It's just been undercover for multiple years, experimenting with their process and on their audience, using techniques that I believe are grooming techniques. And I've spoken at length about in my Euphoria and post-traumatic highlights on my Instagram, but also in my YouTube live streams. I
bet his YouTube live streams are just a fucking joy to watch.
I feel like it's important to acknowledge that Bradford Delson, Rob Borden, and Mike Shinoda are all co-founders of Linkin Park.
The original guitarist, the original drummer, and then Mike Shinoda, the crappy rapper.
They're not Rob Borden is a part of Machine Shop Records or not. I think that it's important to recognize that Mike Shinoda has been the only one to say anything about Rob Borden, and that we're all supposed to just take his word for it when we have copious amounts of evidence to prove that Mike Shinoda has been manipulative and he has been deceitful in this entire process, and that he plans on utilizing the influence garnered through that deceit to his greatest benefit. I feel like it is frustrating to see Brad give his letter, because why is that so hard for Rob? We've seen Mike lie about Rob multiple times. Now they're not. I was just told at the Brooklyn concert, the one in New York, this yesterday, that they didn't even acknowledge Chester at all. So what was the point of talking about erasing the past, using my words against me during the LA concert, if you weren't going to go continue to have that conversation? There are a lot of things that are very strange about this entire situation. So, on top of the weirdness of the letter, the weirdness of Brad stepping down in the way he stepped down, the weirdness of Mike acting as gatekeeper, the weirdness of the lack of response on everything that's been going on, the lack of a personal letter from Rob Borden, the, all of it. It seems like a very serious situation. And so to hear that Emily was in the band was shocking. Not at first. I'm not mad that Linkin Park is moving on. To each their own, right? Okay, if the 3 people in the band who co-founded the band, and 2 of which are owners and presidents, or founders and presidents of Machine Shop Records, want to continue to evolve their art through the platform that they've developed for themselves, in my mind, they have every right to do that. But it matters what you do when it happens. It matters what comes up and how you respond to it. A lot has come up, and
I'm reading the chats and I'm laughing at your comments. I'm just not reading them out loud.
have not responded to it, which brings me to Emily. Shocked was I to learn about her history, because, one, the band's never been particularly religious. They've made themselves a band that is as neutral as possible so they can reach as many types of people as possible.
That's what I didn't like about Linkin Park, was they were so bland and generic and didn't take really any kind of stands in any way, shape, or form. They didn't swear. For the longest time, I think on the 3rd album, they said fuck once or twice, but like, not saying you have to swear to be good or anything, but they just, for a genre like nu metal, where that's kind of like the, common standard operating procedure, and they refuse to kind of go there with anything, with a message, or aside from like depression and running away. But this is always like my impersonation of like a Mike Shinoda rap. I was running away from you, but the whole time I realized that I was running away from myself. So then I ran away from myself, but I realized I became you, and I was you the whole time. So then I was running from myself only to become you. That's a Mike Shinoda standard rap there, and it's like, I don't know. Again, like, could you make this shit more generic? So yeah, no, I'll agree with them there. No, they never did. They did make themselves as generic as possible to reach the most amount of people as possible, and some people kind of view that as selling out.
That's part of their marketing scheme. That's why they vanilla-ized Chester when 2007 came around with Minutes to Midnight, and made him a family man instead of a guy who likes to fucking party. They're like, we're a drug-free brand. Sorry, Freudian slip. We are a drug-free band. But like, Mike drinks. So does everybody else in the band.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with drinking. That's a perfectly normal pastime. I sounded like Chip Chipperson just then. I'll smack you in the nuts, Jamie. Get to the fucking point.
Pretty much, except for Rob and maybe Brad. Chester uses substance. He's been smoking weed his entire life. Way to demonize anybody for it. And it's just like, it's bizarre, because it's not the first time in the band's history they've done an aggressive facelift. It's not even the second or third time. And I think that with Emily in the picture, certain questions, just on like a research level, certain questions I had were immediately tested. It was like, okay, well then, what are these photos of Chester and the band in Portugal with the ex-president of the Republic and Bill Clinton? Oh, they were from 2014. Well, let's go ahead and put that in there. So according to the history of the band, there are 2 albums in what I would call the Clinton era Linkin Park. Because it seems like in 2014, the band met with the Clinton administration. And
oh, now you're gonna bring the Clintons into this shit? Oh, the rabbit hole goes deeper, guys. I was talking to the president, people. He was talking to the president, man, Bill Clinton. He got his pecker sucked. He got his pecker sucked a long time ago by some whore, and he used her vagina as a humidor. What an awful man, but he helped my dad's band.
Public. And then shortly after that, SRS Recycling was given money by the Clinton Foundation. Chester died while promoting Hillary Clinton. The time that I was talking about first, about the Clinton Foundation being involved in Haiti and that Portugal incident, that was The Hunting Party, an album that was not included on the greatest hits, was only brought up during the show because I said something about it in the LA show. The other part was that Chester died promoting Hillary Clinton, and his sister's claiming he saw what was on the hidden server and that he had been going to dinners with them so often over the 3 years following that initial incident that he was sick of it. And that album was One More Light, on which he was very clearly expressing dual perspectives. He was doing Cross Off with Mark Morton, and he was doing One More Light while claiming that he didn't.
Didn't One More Light suck ass? Like, nobody liked that record. Yeah, Anthony Fantano said it sucked. You said it, Beavis.
Want to do anything like Cross Off ever again because he's an old man and he just wants to talk about his fucking feelings.
In a lot of the comments that I've been seeing on my channel from Linkin Park fans, they have mentioned some alternative theories for your father's death. What are your thoughts on any of those?
I think everything's on the table until it's not.
Oh, damn. Did Aaron just ask Jamie about thoughts on his father's death? Aaron's like, I'm tired of fucking around. Let's get to the real hard-hitting journalism here.
Did not investigate. They did not investigate. Chester was very clearly entrenched in the Clinton Foundation and therefore associated to Scientology on some tangential level.
No.
For at least 3 years before he died.
Wasn't he making a documentary with Chris Cornell, the singer from Soundgarden, about pedophilia in Hollywood, and they both died from self-strangulation in the same way? Because that's another crazy theory that I heard floating around there.
Time at which he joined the alleged human trafficking task force, postulated by and seemingly verified by the, at the time, District of Attorney Tony Rackauckus.
Well, tell me more about that.
Rackauckus? Oh my goodness. That sounds like a roach cock. I'm sorry to do this to you guys, but I'm gonna let this play while I take a piss. You can take a piss too if you want.
Yeah, so after Chester died, the district attorney of Orange County, Tony Rackauckus, sent my family a letter recognizing Chester's efforts to pioneer a human trafficking task force in Newport Beach. This was followed by correspondence, which seemed to verify that interaction. On a post, I believe that, Tony Rackauckus posted the correspondence as a 1-year memory of Chester's death, and right away after Chester died, so he did it twice. He also made a coded reference to their song Invisible.
What was your dad's involvement in that text?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. He said he was going to get the guys involved. At that time, he was either talking about Stone Temple Pilots or Linkin Park. Linkin Park at that time had just been working without Chester on The Hunting Party. And then Chester came back from STP after recording High Rise and joined the band and went, oh shit, you guys are doing punk? I want to do punk. And then they did punk. And that album outed them as being fake phonies who are imitations of rebellion, who are used as a mouthpiece for the industry and their money laundering scheme. The entire album is about that. We are imitations of rebellion, which is what I said in my videos I posted on my story today. My videos of the concert. If you hear that, I said, you're an imitation. You said so. Fuck you. What are you talking about? And so nobody really knows because all of it's hidden in secrecy. But I'll tell you what, long after Chester's death, 7 years until now, there have been political investments and ties to this entire situation. Barbara Van Dalen of Given Hour is now the head of the Prevents Task Force.
Okay, let's skip ahead. He just is the worst. Aaron, not talking. Oh my God. Okay, looks like he's about to say something.
And
there you go.
Who are the two members of Linkin Park that you suspect might be Scientologists?
You know, honestly, I would say that I'd exclude Brad, but I wouldn't count him out just on the basis that he's Jewish. I would say that there's I've always known him to be a pious, religious person. And so I feel.
How does that make him a Scientologist? How does him being Jewish? Bro, just say you don't fucking know. This is like the just youthful pompousness this kid is exuding. Like, just like you're young and you don't know shit about fuck, but you're acting like you do right now. So you're just like kind of postulating and just kind of like wish casting and just saying things that really have no journalistic integrity whatsoever. You're just kind of like, I kind of see why like no one's like rushed to this kid to like interview him on shit, because any preliminary interview with this guy and you're just like, oh yeah, we're not going to get anything usable out of this person.
Like just respecting.
Oh, he's 28. Goddamn, he looks younger than that. I don't know. He's still a kid to me. I'm 36.
What I know of him, I would say that he's not Scientologist, but I can't confirm or deny that. He's always been very supportive of his faith and his community, as far as I'm aware. I have this muffin in my hand. I've been trying to eat it forever, but I may never get there.
Because you won't shut the fuck up.
Go for it.
But the other people I've seen are Dave. I think Dave might be the guy. He's the one who let slip in the Zane Lowe interview that they'd known Emily for years. And that's when they started having to talk about when they met. Which, by the way, Emily did not answer a single question during the Zane Lowe interview, and since has not answered a single question postulated by anybody for any reason. I would say that Mike Shinoda has given me extreme Scientology vibes, especially with the way that he's handling everything. I mean, you can't talk to people who aren't in the church. He's not talking to me. He's over here using grooming and assault tactics that are extremely subtle, but you can see with a trained eye against me. He's done it on the show. He's done it on the stage. You got people throwing mustard packets at him. Why do you think people are throwing mustard packets at you during your New York concert, Mike? It's because you, Brad, Joe, and Dave.
Or maybe, Jamie, you were never really an important factor in Linkin Park, and your dad, for all intents and purposes, doesn't have a voice in the band anymore, is not around to have a voice in the band. They're extending themselves out to you, or did extend themselves out to you as a kindness, as a courtesy, and then you started running your mouth and became a liability to the new thing that they're trying to revive, and they feel no sense of allegiance to the late singer's fucking yappy son. And they don't really owe you anything whatsoever. I'm sure you're getting your estate, your Chester's estate is getting paid royalties from the album sales, the song streams. Anytime a Linkin Park song's used in a commercial, a movie, whatever, I'm sure you're financially very much taken care of, along with the rest of your family. And that's kind of the beginning and the end of their relationship with you personally, unless you join the band and were some kind of a creative a member that got any kind of a creative credit. They're moving on. They don't owe you any explanation. They don't have to answer your fucking questions, especially if you're being contentious, which it sounds like he very much is and has been in the past contentious towards these guys. It's like they're trying to move on with Linkin Park Mark II and are probably way more concerned about Emily Armstrong's PR flaps with her association with Danny Masterson. You know, Emily, someone who's actively in the band, rather than whatever tinfoil hat conspiracies about the Clintons or whatever else that you have regarding your dad. And someone who, whenever is asked just a direct question by Aaron, kind of goes, well, I think that he gives me Scientology vibes, so he probably is. It's like, bro, just sitting there guessing or postulating on things, that's you could ask anybody off the street and they would have like their answers would be just as valid as yours. You're not giving any straight factual information that, yes, this did happen. I saw this. This is my example of of when this happened that I personally saw that no other person could have saw because they're not Chester's son, but I have the exclusive scoop on this. Yes, flap is kind of a PR Scientology term, but it's fitting, right? But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're getting with this dude right now.
Disarmed the entire conversation during the Zane Lowe interview that was meant to clear the air about all of this. You all passed it off as being silly and stupid.
Well, even if they aren't Scientologists, they certainly have been safe pointed by Scientology, which is a Scientology word for basically taking someone who's not a Scientologist, but in some position of power.
Of course, those are the pants that Boku would wear. Of course. I could have never seen his pants and told you those were the pants that he's wearing.
And making an ally out of them so that they will not hear ill of you and will support you to others. And the fact that Linkin Park will not tolerate criticism of Scientology on its social media platforms is astonishing.
From the mouth of the horse himself, Mike Shinoda, he says, in his Discord with all the fans, of course, it's this exclusive community that he thinks he can pull this off, right? He doesn't go to the public and say this shit to press. He says it to his dedicated fan base in his Discord, which has been following him for years. What does he say? Well, if we can all respectfully disagree, then that's worth it. But if you disagree, it's disrespectful. And that's just a contradictory thing in its own right. And he's like, if you don't respect me the way that I want to be respected, I'll disrespect you. He said those things. Like, that's not me mincing words. That's the Discord screenshot. And for him to say something like that and then to like be on stage and during the show and be like, hey, what was that one album that we never played on the greatest? Wait, Paper Cuts was a what? And it's like, it's a greatest hits album. Stop fucking lying to your fans and acting like they're stupid. You're fishing for compliments. You want people to answer it for you so you don't seem like you're in control of it, but you are. You didn't play Hunting Party. You know that I said something about it.
Nobody likes that album. Nobody cares. If you have a 24 song set or a 20 song set, you have a limited amount of time. You have to consider this band's status as a legacy act at this point. If you have 20 songs and you want to get in like one new song, you got to get in the Emptiness Machine because that's the new song to ingratiate the audience to Emily. And then pretty much 80% of the rest of what people like about your band was the first two albums, maybe give you the third album, Minutes to Midnight. That's what your set's going to fucking be. That's like if you go to see Kiss live or Lynyrd Skynyrd live, they are not going to be playing shit from like, I don't know, like when they go the one album where they did the jazz experimental funk odyssey. Neither one of those bands did that, but like, okay, I'll take an example that I know of. That would be like going to see Genesis with Phil Collins in the band, and then they play a bunch of shit off of like Trespass or Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. They're just not going to do that because those songs are not known by anybody, and B, the diehards are way more outnumbered by the people who want to experience the nostalgia hit by going to see a Linkin Park show. Because that's what Linkin Park is at this point. They're a legacy band. They're never going to put out an album, especially now that Chester's gone. They're never going to put out an album that rivals their first two albums or even stands up to them. It's just never going to happen. So from this point going forward, their new album may have a song or two that people kind of like. Probably won't get played on the radio. The only reason Lost was played on the radio was because it was literally like a hidden B-side from Meteora that literally sounded like 2004 era Linkin Park, and it was like a blast from the past. So it's like, yeah, they're probably not going to include songs in their set from albums that didn't do very well, that people really didn't like all that much. It's like, bro, you're fucking... how dense can you be, man? Not everything's a big conspiracy theory. It's called the music business. It's all a business. You know, Scientology is like way in second place when it comes to making money and selling tickets. That is the first and foremost priority. All this religious shit is way in the background when it comes to things like, well, they didn't play that song off of that one album that my dad was really proud of. It's like, yeah, well, if that album didn't sell well, which it didn't, you know, people had kind of given up on that bit. They were, dude, Linkin Park, people don't seem to remember this. Linkin Park was massively losing relevancy by the time Chasing Daylight came out. Like, people were stopping giving a fuck about Linkin Park and really were like leaning into their old classic era albums and really only want to hear those. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like this is all very obvious shit.
And then during that show, you went and changed your words from replacing to erasing after I said you were erasing my father. You knew I was in the crowd. Security knew where I was. I told you all where I was going to be. And I gave you 48 hour notice. It's not like they didn't know.
Who cares, dude? You're the son of their ex-member. Like, they're not keeping you into consider. Like, if you have like 20,000 paying people in the audience, the one little bratty kid who got in for free, whose dad used to be in the band, they're not writing the set list for you, bro. They're just not. Like, I'm sorry. I've had about enough of your shit, Jamie.
The band is
go sit in the corner, Jamie.
It's been tagged in everything. They're just safe point, I guess. And so either they're Scientologists, which I can see Scientology using this platform for a lot of things.
Yeah, they changed the lyrics because they knew I was there. Totally.
Or they're allies of Scientology, which still requires some form of contractual agreement. It says, I will do X, Y, and Z for you if you do X, Y, and Z for me. It's called quid pro quo.
I mean, the segment of Linkin Park fans who do not understand why it would be important that their new lead singer's mom works for the leader of the Scientology cult is crazy to me. She's the scriptwriter for David. She's the scriptwriter for David Miscavige, and she used to be the PR aide. The PR aide for the Office of Special Affairs International. She wasn't just an editor of a magazine. She was the PR aide. It's a high. No. I mean, you're not the one. You're not the. You're just probably repeating something that you heard someone say about her being the editor of the magazine. She was.
Yeah. No, it's good that this is clarified. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
She was also at another time the PR aide. I mean, when you work at the Office of Special Affairs International, sometimes these posts can just be interchangeable. But even the Freedom magazine, that's not just a Scientology magazine. That's a magazine that Scientology creates for propaganda for external purposes. That's not the local internal feel-good magazine.
Why is Jamie smiling like he understands what Aaron's even talking about? He doesn't. He doesn't understand. Aaron is stating straight points, factual statements that are easy to follow. He's trying to get the interview back on course. And Jamie's just thinking about when it's his turn to talk next and what kind of crazy shit he can say to water down Aaron's point of how having this person associated with Linkin Park's going to damage their reputation.
Scientology News, International Scientology News is the internal magazine. The Freedom magazine is the external propaganda magazine that they use to attack critics of Scientology and politicians and journalists and all this.
It's the malware.
Yeah, exactly. And
I see that, Mr. Robot.
You know, when people just say, "Oh, we don't know if Emily's still a Scientologist," yes, she is. Because if she wasn't, do you know what people who aren't Scientologists can do? They can say, "I'm not a Scientologist." Uh-oh, you just muted yourself again.
Am I back?
Damn, yeah, you're back.
Really StreamYard's like, bro, seriously, stop. You're going to get us all canceled. But
although
no,
it
yeah.
sounds like
I
now
totally
your
agree with
microphone, it sounds like now it might be.
Holy shit. Let's just keep going here.
you know, when people just say, "Oh, we don't know if Emily's still a Scientologist," yes, she is, because
All right, let's see what the fuck. Just
By the way, also as a legacy, Emily, as a legacy of the cult and a legacy of the industry influence of the band that you're now in, you kind of don't have a choice. You don't get to come into an industry job like this and say, I was raised on this. This helped me through my hardest times. And then have people like Serge come out who are saying that in their darkest times in Scientology, they listened to Linkin Park to heal, to stay sane. You can't. These people are saying they know you. These people are saying that they've been in these situations. These people are asking.
a lot of Scientologists were actually listening to Tool's Enema album back in the 90s because of the line in Enema where Maynard goes, fuck L. Ron Hubbard and fuck all his clones. That rang true to a lot of Scientologists who wanted to exile.
You to do better. You kind of bitten the bullet, in my opinion, because what you did is you either stupidly, in the same way that you accidentally went to the Danny Masterson trial, or intentionally, the same way that you went to the Danny Masterson trial, stepped into the limelight, not realizing that there was this figurative gun aimed at you. And if you, and it would only, the trigger would only be pulled in response to your actions. Everything that you're receiving right now is not the problem with the fans. It's the problem with the environment and the industry that you chose to be a part of. And yeah, it's kind of weird to me that she would say things like during the first show, like, oh, the LPU showcase. Oh, you know, Mike taught me to sing 8 months ago. Like you guys are sloppy about your press. You're sloppy about your stories and your timelines. You're sloppy.
Give me a for example, bro. For example. This is why. For example. You just say things and you don't even back it up with any substantive story or statement to where it's like, oh, okay, I understand that. You're just making statements right now.
About your social interactions, you are sloppy. You are messy.
For example.
I'm hopeful that all of this will end up being a positive thing. But right now,
Michelob Ultra is the beer
thing that needs to be taken seriously. There are a lot of people out there losing their minds because you took the person that kept them safe and brutalized them on stage 7 years after their death with zero accountability.
What?
I mean, you should be having an in memoriam for Chester every show, talking about what happened to him, talking about the meaning he had to you all, talking about the effect that he had on these generations that you did not, Emily. This is the classic sign of Nepo power. This would be like Jaden and Willow Smith standing up and being like, hey, I'm just...
Bro, like you didn't just through this whole stream exercise your Nepo power muscle about talking about they knew I was in the audience and they knew I was going to be there and they didn't play this song or they did or they left this thing out because I was... You have just the same exact Nepo cringe energy as... What's his nuts? The fucking Will's son, Jaden or whatever. You are just as cringe as Jaden. Jaden might be a little bit more cringe, but still. You are I don't know what it is about celebrities' kids and why they got to act like they're superior or special in some way. That fucking Nepo Babies video I did just shows that, oh, actually, if you come from celebrity sperm or come out of a celebrity vagina, well, guess what? That magic stardust did not rub off on you, my friend. You are just a normal douchebag, just like the rest of us. So anything you say has no gilded framing around it. It's like you are just a dude speculating, just like I would, just like any other YouTuber who made videos on this would. And here, I thought, I mean, it sounds like he does have a little bit of inside baseball, but he says it in such a convoluted way that you don't... Can any of you take anything away from this interview that you learned? Like, I can't really. Just a bunch of, well, maybe this could have happened, and I think that Brad did this, and fucking Anna Shinoda, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know. I can't take away one single coherent thought that this dude has said. And I think this is one reason why Aaron hasn't broken this interview up into clips, because he normally does. I think he knows he can't break this video up into small little digestible clips because there are no small digestible clips. It's just this dude monologuing like his thoughts and opinions. He has the spotlight, and I think this is a very highly live viewed video for Aaron when he debuted. It was like 1,800 people or so were watching it at one time, and man, there was a whole lot of nothing burgers in this shit.
Gonna ride the coattails of my dad and my mom, and that's it. And if any of you have a problem with it, you guys can shut the fuck up because I'm in a cult. That doesn't make any sense. That's crazy. I mean, I would never do that. That's why I'm not ever talked to about anything, is because I don't agree with these situations and these decisions. I would have never allowed certain things to have happened if people truly did want me to make decisions on Chester's legacy, which I have never been in the position to.
An interesting question. Do you think Jamie is doing these interviews for attention? He had an allegation of scamming his followers on Instagram. Well, yeah, Aaron, look, I'll just put it to you this way. If another Scientology channel, now I could be wrong, he could have done an interview with Serge Delmar, who has about the same subscribers that I have. He might have done an interview with him, but I think definitely these big fatty YouTube channels with the over 100K subs are definitely an attractive prospect for this guy who definitely seems to want to get himself out into the limelight much more now that the opportunity has presented itself. I mean, more so than speaking about his father's legacy, of whom he refers to as Chester every single time, and my dad very little, if at all, in this entire interview.
Do so. And so as a whole, you know, I think there's the research perspective. I think there's the victim perspective. I think that as a victim's right advocate, I should say something about that and acknowledge Emily for what she is. And then on the other side, I also have to acknowledge that Emily is in a particularly special place, and she has every opportunity to turn it into something good, but she's choosing not to for now. And that this reunion tour to me is a big joke, and that they should have never allowed it to happen. It feels extremely disrespectful, extremely narrow-minded, and you know, you don't know the hundreds of people you've affected. People who won't even talk to me, but I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of people talking to me about how much you hurt them.
How? I mean, aside from Emily's problematic past, how? I mean, if you don't like the new singer and you don't like that what they're doing, just don't fuck with it. Don't watch it on live stream. Don't buy a ticket to the show. Don't support their albums. I mean, this fucking parasocial relationship people have with celebrities, man. It's really fucking weird and creepy. Like, unless you were a personal family member of one of these people, or you were a Scientologist that was affected by Emily's parents who worked in the Office of Special Affairs, yeah, you shut the fuck up. I'm not, I started this video off saying I wasn't a big Linkin Park fan, but like, even if I were a fan of, I mean, Jesus Christ, the amount of shit that I've talked about Phil Collins on my YouTube channel in the past few years, because I felt like Genesis was like, you know, just let the man retire and stop pulling him out of retirement. Dude looks like an old fucking nutsack at this point, can't sing for shit, yet you keep making him do these tours. But at no point in these videos did I go, I am so hurt by Phil Collins still being on stage. I wasn't hurt by it. I don't know any of these people personally. I just thought it was a poor artistic choice given the degradation of the abilities. I would never say I am so hurt that they did this, and it's so disrespectful. It's not that they don't owe me respect or anything. I'm parasocial shit, man. It's some crazy shit.
I have people going and saying this was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
You were having
powerful words. Powerful words. We got a bunch of comments starred in the live chat. You want to take a moment? We'll go through some of them.
Do it.
All right. We got Professional YouTube Watcher as a new channel member. Thank you very much. Okay, some of these others were started a long time ago, and we've covered some of this ground. So let's see. Dave Owen says, how Emily can sing Crawling is beyond me. Mother Universe says,
I had somebody say to me,
Aaron, you should have known a pontification was coming. You should have felt that coming down the pike, buddy. He wasn't just gonna like react that way and not follow it with like a video essay about that one statement.
Go ahead.
God, I have so many thoughts about that. Imagine if the band members apologized.
Yeah, imagine if the band members apologized and actually took responsibility. I mean,
Okay, I'm bored as fuck from this. That was Chester's fucking son. You know, that. Yeah, I told you guys going into it. He's kind of a nutcase. And I mean, he's got like, I think he's got 2 sons. I think he has a daughter. I don't know. He's got several kids. But that one there is. I didn't know anything about him before I watched the interview. You know, I thought that he might be a bit more like on the humble, like, I don't know. I thought he'd be kind of more shy, humble, somber, stoic. These are kind of things that I was thinking that might be in his character, but oh no, he is very opinionated and kind of weird, and doesn't seem like he really is interested in having a rousing debate that includes facts mixed with some opinion. This guy is all opinion, all speculation, with little nuggets of truths in there that he experienced from his point of view that may or may not even be a reality. So that's kind of what you got with that interview. And I think it ultimately was kind of a bomb of an interview, which obviously wasn't Aaron's fault. Aaron's done some great work on his channel, and I feel is a good interviewer when given a guest who doesn't get high off their own farts. So yeah, anyway, let's go now to, I guess this is Chester's mam. I stand with Boku. Jesus God. Boku Bucks, boy. Off them royalties. This was picked up from a Rolling Stone interview. Of course, you gotta subscribe to their goddamn website to gain any kind of access to that. So, in a new interview with Rolling Stone, Eubanks revealed that the band told her that they would let her know. So, Eubanks, that's her last name. Susan Eubanks. Chester Bennington's mom, Susan Eubanks, is the latest family member to speak out about Linkin Park's decision to reunite with a new singer. Eubanks revealed that the band told her that they would, quote, let her know if they were ever going to do something. However, she found out about Linkin Park reuniting with Emily Armstrong on vocals through Google, even though she had seen Mike Shinoda and Joe Hahn over the years. Quote, they didn't let me know, and they probably knew that I wasn't going to be very happy. I'm very upset about it. I feel like they were trying very hard to erase the past. This is a narrative that the Bennington family seems to want to perpetuate here. They're performing songs that Chester sang, and I don't know how the fans are taking it, but I know how I take it. And having Armstrong singing my son's songs is hurtful. Well, I mean, are those royalty checks hurtful? Because if it's that hurtful, you probably shouldn't accept those royalty checks, because if it bothers you that bad. I mean, it's a little ridiculous to me, the idea of a band member passing away and after a very respectable amount of time, say, I don't know, 7 years, the band just never being allowed to proceed. I mean, Alice in Chains did it. Lynyrd Skynyrd did it. I mean, the list is just massive. The amount of bands that moved forward when their lead singer passed away. It's really not that crazy. And I mean, would you rather have like the actual band find a new singer, or would you rather see a fucking tribute band where nobody in the band was directly in any way involved in creating the songs? It's almost like, because of the almost like emo nature of the lyrics of a Linkin Park song, there's like this preciousness about Chester and, you know, him being the only one that can sit in that seat or whatever. And I think that that's a little short-sighted in the grand. It's music, guys. It's entertainment, you know, at the end of the day. It's not like Chester did a very poignant TED Talk about his abuse as a child, and then someone else went and covered that TED Talk and did the same exact thing, but was saying it as if it was them. No, they're singing songs, you know, with, I mean, like, poignant lyrics are written every day by ghostwriters who are then sang by pop stars who had no hand in writing those lyrics whatsoever. So why Linkin Park, for some reason, is exempt from the whole, well, it's been long enough, it's time for us to get this horse back on the trail, so to speak. I find that very odd and just counterintuitive to kind of keeping a band alive. I mean, is it keeping the band more alive to just never ever play again or make new music, despite the fact that, like, what, 4/5 or 5/6 of the band are still alive? I mean, you could be like, what, I think Foreigner has 0 original members in the band and they're still playing, you know? I think Kiss only has half the original members. They're still well, they're not playing anymore. They recently retired. But I mean, like, Leonard Skinner has like one original member. No, I think they're at 0 original members now, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Or, I mean, maybe you could look at through this filter, you know, Neil Peart, lyricist and drummer for Rush, he died, and Rush has vowed never to play again as Rush. And to me, that makes a lot of sense, because it was just the 3 guys from pretty much the very beginning till the very end. That makes a little bit more sense, because they span like a 40-year career, so, you know, I don't know. Just being devil's advocate here, just throwing out all possibilities. They didn't so she goes on to say, Chester's mom, they didn't let me know, and they probably knew I was going to be very happy, blah, 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 hurtful. They said they would let the family know if they were going to reunite. They did not. Chester Bennington's first wife, Samantha, and son, Draven, didn't know until it was told to the world. It was the same for me, and it hurt. She went on to divulge that Shinoda, quote, often put Chester down, and once told him that, quote, these songs would be better with a girl, which made their decision to reunite with Dead Sarah's former singer even more hurtful. Well, that's what she said, but, you know, do we have a source for that to confirm that? I don't know. Quote, Chester called me and he said he thinks they're going to replace me with a girl. And I said, what do you mean? She recalled. He said Mike told him at rehearsal that if you decide you're leaving, we're going to replace you with a girl. And Chester was dumbfounded and hurt. Now, I think, wasn't Fort Minor Shinoda's other project? Didn't he have a female singer in that group? Because I remember that one song, Where'd You Go? I loved you so. It seems like just forever. Something, something, something. And then he did his, yo, I was running from you, but I was running from myself. I was trying not to be you, but I turned into me. And I don't know what exactly. They had like one like song that was on the radio back when I was growing up. Banana. Eubanks, Chester's mom, never thought Linkin Park would replace her son and instead would have had Shinoda take over all vocal duties. Okay. Yeah, let's hear Mike Shinoda do Crawling. I don't think so. She says, I would have been okay with that, but I'm not okay with this, to have somebody replace him and try to do what he did. I don't think there's anybody in the world that has the same voice, and when I heard that, I was just so repelled that no, they're trying to do exactly what Chester did, but they're not succeeding. I don't know, she kind of flips on the Chester vocal grit every now and then, from what I saw at least. I mean, it's vaguely comparable. I mean, William Duvall will never be Lane Staley, but goddamn, when William Duvall and Jerry Cantrell harmonize and do Alice in Chains songs, sounds pretty damn close to Alice in Chains. Then again, Jerry Cantrell had always been kind of like the co-lead vocalist in that band, Alice in Chains. Her comments come after Chester's son, Jamie Bennington, the nutbag we just heard from, whom he shared with former partner Elka Brand, slammed Shinoda for his role in hiring Armstrong due to her ties with Scientology, the Danny Masterson stuff. You have betrayed the trust loaned to you by decades of fans supporting human beings, including myself. He wrote on Instagram, we trusted you to be the bigger person, to be the change because you promised us that was your intention. Now you're just senile and tone deaf. Damn, calling him senile. I think he's in his late 40s. Like, that's not that senile. Conversely, Chester's widow, Talinda, seemingly showed support for the singer by responding to one of her Instagram posts with a series of fire emojis. Armstrong joins classic members Shinoda, Han, Brad Delson, and Phoenix, along with new drummer Colin Brittain, or whatever his name is. Together, they're releasing a new album called From Zero on November 15th, and will be heading on a worldwide tour later this month, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, that's that. Shit, I gotta pee again. I gotta piss. I don't know what to put on while I do this. Damn it. Just hold on. I'll be right back. Station break. Okay. Shit. Sorry about that. I'm going to read some of these comments here. Blah, blah. Judging from Aaron's body language, he seemed like he possibly wasted his time on the interview because Jamie said a lot, yet said nothing at all. Yeah, I agree. I don't think anybody's going to be quoting from that. Shit, now I don't think anybody's going to be quoting from that interview that Aaron got with Jamie because he said a whole lot of nothing. Oh, wait, I don't need to wear these anymore because I'm not listening to anything. Yeah. Yellow Card has no original members left? Damn. They're a younger band to already be in that position. Jesus. The guy from Trailer Park Boys died. Who? Fleetwood Mac really has no original members? Not a single one? Not Stevie Nicks or Lindsey Buckingham or Mick Fleetwood or I know the other woman, Christy McVie. I know she died, right? Damn, that's crazy. What, Mr. Late? Oh, John Dunsworth? Yeah, he's been dead. Kiss is still around. They're creating an AI-generated version. Yeah, I know. They're not actually the real band. Fort Minor, Drake's favorite band? Really? I love how people were like, they should get someone who doesn't sound like Lane Staley. In comes Duvall. Why isn't this guy sounding like Lane Staley? I mean, I think he does a good job, especially when he's harmonizing with Jerry. Like, it definitely the spirit of Alice. Like, that first album after Lane Staley, Black Gives Way to Blue, you couldn't tell me on Check My Brain when that single came out, you couldn't tell me that Lane's ghost wasn't in that song somewhere. I could have sworn you kind of heard him in there, but that's just how good Jerry's vocals blended in to make them sound like one unison voice. Here comes the more music news portion. I know it. It could very well bloody well be. Very well bloody well be. That's a good sentence. Yeah, let's go ahead and I guess do that. Going back here. People in the chat were saying, or the community page were saying that they wanted me to go to, they wanted me to talk about P. Diddy, what's going on with him. I don't know. I know he did a bunch of molesty shit. P. Diddy news. I don't know. What do we got? What do we got on the Diddlemeister? Man, there's so many like different little. I want like one. Oh, maybe Wikipedia will have the answers I'm seeking. They're pretty good at boiling things down, unlike Chester Bennington's son. P. Diddles. Legal issues. In June 2015, Combs was arrested for aggravated assault after an altercation with his son's football coach at University of California, Los Angeles. Wow. Okay. Sexual misconduct allegations. Does anyone really care about this? It's like, I don't know if I do. All right. I could either do this or I could go to fucking Loudwire and see what kind of like rock news is out there in the world. I don't know if I really care too many fucks about P. Diddy. It's like, yeah, he basically did similar shit to R. Kelly. If that tickles your pickle, then I don't know. I just don't think I care about it all that much. Let's see what's going on with Loudwire. I don't care about P. Diddy. Ooh. Do you like it when I make those disgusting groans into the microphone? All right, let's see here. What do we got? Boy, can you adjust your aspect ratio? Thank you. What do we got? 13 new... Okay, yeah, I wasn't just totally reading that or anything. Oh my God, James Hetfield is looking fucking haggard. God damn. Okay, can you listen to me, please? 13 new rock and metal tours announced this past weekend. Might take a look at that. I know Primus, Perfect Circle, and... Oh, did I accidentally click on that? Oh, I just want to go to their main page. Alright, what do we got in the headlines here? Corrosion Conformity's Mike Dean leaves band, don't care. Cover of the best cover song of 50 of rock's biggest bands, maybe? That seems like a whole nother live stream. 6 pop singers who've released rock albums. Yeah, I kind of know about that. Demi Lovato, bro. She released a rock album. It goes so hard. Oh, Kevin Lyman addresses rumors of Warped Tour's return. Yeah, let's listen. Let's see what that's about. Yeah, because I've heard about this, but I don't know what this is about. The hot rumor of late has been that the Warped Tour will return in 2025, and now Warped Tour founder Kevin Lyman has confirmed that, quote, there is something cooking for the next year. Something cooking. The Warped Tour rumor. Just last week, Rock Feed cited multiple sources. Is Rock Feed that YouTube channel with that fucking dude who, like, he talks kind of weird. Like I just see his teeth a lot, his like bottom teeth. I don't know. I'm just like nitpicking right now. Cited multiple sources in reporting that the retired rock festival would be making a comeback in 2025 with a series of festivals. I mean, they're already doing when we were young or when you were young or whatever, that thing in Las Vegas. I mean, might as fucking well jump on the bandwagon, make that millennial money, make them millennial bucks. They were also reporting the promoters, Live Nation would be involved. Yeah, that was the main bitch that everyone had, is that Live Nation is involved in the reunion, and Live Nation's kind of seen as like the great Satan in the music world. Yeah. Live Nation involved with Warped Tour founder Kevin Lyman after word of the potential return and who was supposedly involved started to spread. There was some pushback from fans over Live Nation's involvement, as there should be. They're a fucking monopoly or duopoly with Ticketmaster. What Kevin Lyman said. In a separate interview with Polestar this week, Lyman addressed the rumor stating, "We have something cooking for 2025. Details should be ready in a few weeks. It should be noted that 2025 will mark the festival's 30th anniversary, which makes the timing right to take advantage of the landmark year, aka cash in, baby." The first Warped Tour took place in 95 with not only acts, but also included acts with hardcore reggae, ska, and grunge roots, with a few big-name acts using the festival as a springboard into a bigger career. Fans were also treated to pro skating, boarding, and bikini exhibitions with a monster half-pipe and a giant climbing wall. That's what every tour in the 90s did by the time the mid-90s had arrived. The end of Warped Tour. Lyman announced in 2017 that 2018 would be the last year of the band's Warped Tour as a touring festival, but Lyman did announce a trio of destination Warped Tour festivals in 2019 to mark the 25th anniversary of the festival. Speaking about his reasoning for shutting down the long-running festival, Lyman told Kerrang in 2019 it got very frustrating around 2017. "I was challenged by the fractured fan base, the fractured band base, the sense of community, and what I'd got involved in this for, and what brought me into punk rock, that I said, if it's changed this much, maybe it's time for me to wind things down." In reflecting on Warped Tour and the success, Lyman told Loudwire in 2018 that the secret was keeping it simple. He added, "It still feels like a backyard party that you have to, pay $200 or $300 for a ticket, I would imagine. An accessible backyard party, the kind of things that we used to have at our house, a band playing, a plywood ramp, me barbecuing. Some people would say that Warped Tour became a formula in some ways, but it was my thing. I just never changed a whole lot." And I think that's all they have on that. I don't know, man. I went to Warped Tour in 2006, and I saw a bunch of them emo bands when they were just starting to blow up. And that was, I've never liked emo to this day. I've said I don't like emo despite how I look physically. But I did enjoy seeing Millencolin and Offspring. I think those are the only two bands I enjoyed. I mean, I saw Fall Out Boy was there, but I didn't pay attention. Reliant K was there, but I didn't pay attention. I did watch My Chemical Romance. They put on a good show, but I didn't, I wasn't buying what they was selling. Avenged Sevenfold was there, but I didn't pay attention. Those are the ones that stand out in my mind when I saw Warped Tour. I don't know. I was like, let me hear Millencolin and Offspring. Oh, the Jane's Addiction shit. Keith Vesey official, in my opinion, do not bring old venues like Warped Tour from the past just to put in pop singers and rappers rather than rock bands. Make new independent festivals and leave Warped Tour in the past. I wouldn't think that Warped Tour would do that, although all the other festivals sure as shit have done it. Coachella, which I don't think ever really started out as a rock thing. I think it was always just kind of a whatever the fuck. They've definitely, their artists in the big font are rappers. Then you got Bumbershoot, which I don't know if is still even a festival. Lollapalooza has rappers, a lot of rappers now. That started out as specifically like an alternative kind of thing / somewhat electronic, but yeah, it wasn't like a hip hop thing. Now they all have rappers. Yeah, a lot of those festivals are now just all having like rappers and maybe some pop singers, but I mean, oh good. How long did you smoke cigarettes for, Josh? Well, when I could legally buy them at 18, it was a lot easier to become a regular smoker. I smoked them for 6 years, from 18 to 24. I quit on my 24th birthday. I don't know why I said it like that. Yeah, they I think they were affecting my blood pressure. So yeah, all right. I think that's all the juice I got in my canister tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I mainly covered the Linkin Park stuff, which I was happy to kind of pin all that down. I think that's probably the last time I'm going to be talking about it. So thank you for hanging out. And until next time, yeah, just keep watching. Yeah, see that little graphic there above my head where it says Spotify, Dancing with Ghosts, or Instagram? Or any of the other ones, maybe check those links out, support me in some way. You freeloaders, god damn it. No, I'm just joking. The beer's Michelob Ultra. Blue Moon is a good beer, but it's very fattening. It's like 200 calories per bottle. Anyway, until next time, good night.